What's going on, guys? My name is Sam. This is a 2003 GMC SIERRA 2500 HD Duramax that I saw at Axle Swap, and we're going to do a little walk around. So let's take it outside and see what exactly is done with it. All right, here she is. I'll do a little walk around with it on just so you can hear it. Stock motor, stock exhaust, nothing crazy. Just let you hear that low mileage Duramax purr. This truck has 61,000 miles on it currently. It's an 03, like I mentioned. It's from New Mexico. Has no rust on it really whatsoever. Like minimal spots of surface in random little spots, like you can see on the frame. It's, for all intents and purposes, essentially rust-free. Older gentleman owned it. It was brought to me as a two-wheel drive truck, and that's the main reason we saw it axle swapped. It was to get four-wheel drive in it and just make it a much more robust vehicle with a solid front end. As far as any damage, really just that bumper right there and the front left of the bumper, opposite corners. It's not completely 100% done, but I mean, it's literally about 99%. We'll go over that here in a second when I shut it off and kind of break down a parts list. What all is done to it. Again, 2003 Duramax, brought to me in two-wheel drive configuration, completely stock truck on stock 16-inch steelies and, you know, little 235s or 245s, whatever was on it, tire-wise. And I basically got a Dana 60 out of a 78, 79 Ford F-250. It's an off-road design solid axle swap kit. Now that is a term that you should use loosely because it's not really a complete kit. It's just brackets that allow you to hang leaf springs, right? So there's the front ones here on the front horns of the frame, and then these rear ones right here. So Offroad Design sells those brackets. Then you need leaf springs. These are stock 3/4 ton square body leaf springs. They're 47 inches long. Also from Offroad Design, while we're talking about them, I got their extended steel braided brake line kit. It comes with the little adapters, and it's a great setup. Stock ABS wires. And then pretty much after that, all my steering and brakes and all that was from WFO. So the frame plates are from WFO, the shock towers are from WFO, the bump stops are from WFO, the U-bolt flip kit and U-bolt kit is from WFO. I have axle shims in there, moving my axle forward an inch. Those are from WFO. My DOM, all my ball joints, the weld-in bungs, all of that are from WFO. Crossover steering, take a guess, WFO. Rebuilding the axle, I think I went to East Coast. I went to East Coast Gear Supply. I'm in New York and they're in I think South or North Carolina, so the shipping's pretty quick, and he worked out a really good price for me. You guys should definitely buy shit from them. Not sponsored or anything, but the guy just gave me a deal, so I really appreciate that. It has 373 gears in it, open diff in the front. The rear has like a factory LSD or something like that. What else we got going on under here? Factory steering box, no hydro assist. I don't even have the steering stabilizer on there yet. There's still like two little things I got to do, which is one, add that steering stabilizer, and two, get a knob for the transfer case shifter. What else we got under here? Oh, WFO brake brackets. They sell brackets there that you can see that allow you to retain the stock brakes that come on these 01 to 10 GM heavy-duty trucks. So when you go to an auto parts store, you don't have to order brakes for two different vehicles. They bolt onto the knuckle behind the spindle, and they're awesome. I've used them on my personal truck. It's the coolest thing. You also now have slip-on and off-rotors instead of having to press out studs to change brake rotors like the old days. you know, like most of these you're used to with these 1-ton axles. Also, before I forget, I know you can just barely see in there the ABS tone ring. WFO sells custom tone rings, the bracket to hold the ABS sensor, and the schematics to machine down your stock hub to have a press fit tone ring. And then I think I set the, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember what I set the gap to. I wanted to say it was like 18 thousandths, but I can't remember. It might have been 28 thousandths. It's a generic thing you can find online. But that's how I retained ABS. I just wanted to add that on before I forgot. What else? It's a square body front drive shaft that was retubed to the proper length. It's an GM NP241C transfer case. This is the transfer case that's going to go in that customer's white Duramax. So it's got a 29 spline input now for the Allison, and I stole the longer front output shaft so I could use this flange style front output so I can get him a used drive shaft and just replace the U-joints instead of getting a whole custom drive shaft made. So basically that was in the interest of saving him some money. So that's how I mated the NP241 to the Allison. Just got a Dodge input out of a truck like that. That's a 2500 second gen. That is a Cummins as well. And then I also had to convert the Allison to 4-wheel drive. I got the tail housing used from somebody, 4-wheel drive, Allison 1000 tail housing. And then I got the output shaft from the same guy. And then there was a nut and a spacer that I needed. I ordered those online. Merchant Automotive. I did not appreciate them very much during that whole process. But, you know, it is what it is. Should have done more research on my own. Never count on other people if you can help it. Bilstein 5100 series shocks, I believe. The rear is very straightforward. It's literally just a lift block and longer U-bolts, of course. That's it. Bilstein shocks, and the Offroad Design extended brake line kit does come with the one line for the back as well. Look at how clean this thing is, man. New Mexico truck, 61,000 miles on it right now. Original owner was an older guy who towed a camper with it. That's why it's got this like special fifth wheel accommodating tailgate, and there's the brackets for the fifth wheel thing. The guy passed away and left it to my customer. So just always feel like I'm forgetting stuff because it was such a long list of parts. I mean, it is pretty straightforward. Anything I'm forgetting, feel free to ask me in the comments. I'll show you the interior and how I made the manual transfer case fit in. So the nice thing about starting with a 2-wheel drive truck is, yes, you have to convert the transmission, which isn't the end of the world. I'd rather do that than have to deal with all the electronics that you have to fool, you know? WFO does make a steering box brace that has a little hole in it that you can thread in the front axle actuator so it can just chill up there and it thinks it's doing stuff even though it's not, and it keeps the lights off the dashboard. But this truck doesn't even know it's 4-wheel drive, and that's the best part. Or, you know, one of them. That's my install for the transfer case there. It's the factory, you know, metal bracket linkage in the factory position. I took the whole interior out, peeled the carpet back, peeled that other sound deadening layer, whatever it is, back, and just made as small of a hole in the floor as I had to, sealed it up. I put a joggle in the handle there, so that way it comes off of the trim a little bit. The only thing I need is a good handle. This is actually the knob that would come on this truck, but I drilled it out to fit something else, and I just have it sitting on there so it looks good for now, and you don't have a spike just sitting there. Yeah, so that came out really clean. A little bit of trimming on the console. I probably could have got away with even less, but that came out nice. Trying to remember if there's anything I'm forgetting. I'll try and put a list in the comments. Oh, yes, I would like to speak on converting that Allison to 4-wheel drive. Basically, like I said, I converted the NP241 to 29 spline so it would bolt up to it. Like all the mechanical aspects I think I described already, you know, bolting on the new tail housing, changing out the output shaft, all of that. And the electronic aspect of it was essentially these trucks already have a very small 2-wire speed sensor plug. So all I did was snip that and put on the plug that is actually the fog lamp plug for these trucks as well. It's the same plug. And that was the plug that the speed sensor and the transfer case needed. So I'll show you right here. You can see that speed sensor. I still have to insulate those wires. You can see that speed sensor there has 2 wires coming out of it, and it's a new speed sensor. So all I did was have to change the plug and lengthen the wire to reach back to the transfer case. That was it. So that worked out really well. And then once I did that, the transmission was shifting, driving normal and everything. And then I put on the bigger tire and it was shifting a little late because it's a pretty good jump in tire size going from those stock very small tires to technically a 35. It's like a 33.5-inch tall tire. So that was a pretty big jump for it. You know, at 60 miles an hour, it was off by like 10 miles an hour. So I brought it down to my buddy in Jersey, and he has HP tuners. We changed the speedometer calibration, and then everything has been good since. It shifts at the right times now, and the truck is happy. The other thing is, if you want 4-wheel drive low, flashing a 2-wheel drive tranny with a 4-wheel drive flash is not enough. If the transmission control module is not a 4-wheel drive one, and you don't have a low range switch plugged in, that will be the sensor that's at the more towards the front of the transfer case, right over the little shifter lever. There's another sensor there. That's specifically there to tell the transmission control module when you're in 4 low, so the transmission doesn't think it's slipping and put you into a limp mode. You need to get that sensor, or that, if you don't have the sensor in the transfer case already when you get it, you need to get that sensor, you need to get that plug, and you need those 2 wires that go into the TCM. My buddy Jake Holcomb was telling me, he's kind of a whiz with this stuff. Add him on Instagram. He's in a lot of these solid axle swap pages and stuff. His Instagram is Croatian Kid, and he's got some pretty cool solid axle swap trucks. He's got a gasser, regular cab long bed, and a crew cab short bed Duramax with a WFO kit. So he's kind of a whiz with this stuff, and he was telling me you need to plug those wires into, I think he said 38 and 39 on the TCM, and that way when you put it in 4 low, the low range switch tells the transmission we're in 4 low, don't go into limp mode. And he's right. So those are the only 2 things with converting the Allison, just getting that speed sensor to talk to the transfer case so it shifts properly, and making sure you have a low range switch wired up. Or you could only use 4 high, but it's, you know, you came this far, you might as well add the other 2 wires. Also, with it being a low mileage, clean LB7, I am telling the owner, you know, we should do a lift pump and some other things like that. But I always look forward to working on this thing. It's a really nice truck. And you can check it out on Instagram as well. Pretty much the whole build is there, as well as the build on my truck and all these other things I build. So you can check it out. It's 4-Wheel Innovations with an underscore between everything. So 4_wheel_innovations on Instagram. So check that out. Drop a follow if you want to see more shit like this. And if I forgot anything, drop a comment. I think I touched on everything, but there's going to be, I know there's somebody out there that needs some little specific piece of info that I didn't mention, because I've been that guy before. But all right, thanks for watching, guys.